month of July. We are confident in your able leadership. We also commend Guyana for its effective and successful leadership of the Council during the month of June. I thank ASG Mr. Gary for his briefing. Mr. President, we strongly condemn the recent large-scale military attacks by the Israeli regime against the Syrian Arab Republic. These deliberate acts of aggression, including those on the capital, Damascus, targeted infrastructures and public and government facilities. This marks a dangerous escalation by a regime that still illegally occupies parts of Syrian territory in flagrant violation of international law and the UN Charter. I wish to make the following points. First, these military attacks happen alongside Israeli ongoing occupation of the Syrian Golan. For decades, Israel has pursued illegal annexation and settlement expansion in its occupied territory, defying the UN Charter and numerous Security Council resolutions. Second, the Israeli regime has become the gravest and serious threat to regional peace and security in the region. This is due to its continued act of aggression and constant and unconditional political and military support it received from the United States and some Western countries. These states must bear the responsibility for enabling Israel's illegal actions and atrocious crime, which endanger not only the region, but also international peace and security. Third, the attacks on Syria are a direct result of this Council's silence and the international community failure to act. Israel has faced no consequences for its repeated systematic violation of international law and continues to act with complete impunity. This aggression follows Israel's 12-day military act of aggression against Iran in a flagrant violation of the United Nations Charter and international law, with full and unconditional support from the United States. The Israeli regime deliberately targeted Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities under IAEA safeguard, along with civilian infrastructure, including hospitals and residential neighborhoods. These illegal attacks resulted in the martyrdom of over 1,100 civilians, among them 41 children and 126 women. 7 hospitals, 11 ambulances, and more than 3,500 homes were destroyed. These undeniable facts reveal the criminal and aggressive nature of the Israeli regime. Fourth, the root causes of instability are clear. Israel's illegal occupation, repeated aggression, systematic and widespread violation of international law and the UN Charter, and the unconditional support it received from a permanent member of this Council. It is time for the Security Council to act. The Council must fulfill its charter responsibilities by ending Israel's impunity and holding it accountable for its repeated violations. Continued inaction has only emboldened the aggressors. This silence is especially alarming as Israel commits mass atrocities in Gaza, using starvation as a method of war and killing tens of thousands of civilians, including women and children, and systematically destroying vital infrastructure. Only through justice, accountability, and the end of Israeli occupation and aggression can our region move toward real peace, stability, and collective security. Finally, we reaffirm our unwavering support for the sovereignty, unity, and territorial integrity of the Syrian Arab Republic. We urge the interim government of Syria to fully respect the rights of all minorities and to resolve internal differences through inclusive dialogue and peaceful means. The fundamental principles of the international law and the UN Charter, particularly the prohibition of the use of force, respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity, and the principle of non-intervention in the internal affairs of a state must be strictly observed. The Israeli regime has absolutely no legal or moral justification to violate Syrian sovereignty or interfere in its internal affairs under the false pretext of protecting minority rights. Such illegal action constitute blatant violation of international law and the UN Charter and must be unequivocally condemned by this Council. I thank you.
Thanking the representative of the Islamic Republic of Iran for the statement.
Do you want to watch more videos like this one?
Yeah.
If yes, subscribe to our channel and
I
press the
already
bell icon next to
subscribed.
it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: African politics, economy, and increasing power. Thanks for watching, and until the next video,
You're
stay
done,
tuned.
sabi niya.
Tell us what you think in the comment section. Like and
Anong nangyari kay Donald Trump? Paulit-ulit naman yun. About Iran. $200 million. Jesus. Maybe that's the fun. Israel invasion. Okay. Ano ba naman ito?
क्राफ्ट को जमीन दी। रूस समुदाय का आरोप है कि सीरियाई सेना और खुफिया एजेंसी इन गिरोह को
Ano ba
संरक्षण
yung
दे रही है।
nangyari sa Iran na to? Hello,
sacred
Ahmed.
land, indicator of endless chaos. I especially address our Druze brethren, who are
Oh, come
Here's
on.
a question for you all. What if your phone suddenly stopped knowing where exactly you are? What if Google Maps got confused and started leading you in a wrong direction?
Oh.
Well, that's exactly what's happening in Iran. And let me tell you, it's not a technical glitch. It is something far bigger than that. As tensions rise between Iran and Israel, Iran has taken a drastic step that's now messing with every single day life.
Hi,
They are
Sarah.
jamming
Who's
GPS
Sarah?
signals. Yes, the same GPS that helps people find their way on roads, track packages, book taxis, or even locate their lost phones. Iran has reportedly started disrupting these satellite
Hello, Ahmed.
signals as part of a defense strategy during its ongoing confrontation with Israel. Why? Because GPS isn't just about maps. It is about
Welcome.
missiles, drones, and precision weapons. Most modern weapon systems use GPS to navigate and strike with accuracy. By jamming GPS, Iran is just trying to protect itself from foreign attacks, specifically Israeli or Western missiles and their drones.
Oh my
But here's the problem. When you block GPS for defense, you're also blocking it for the civilians. And that's exactly what's happening right now. According to Iran International, people across Iran are now struggling with basic tasks. Navigation apps like Google Maps, Waze, and other location-based services are not working properly. Delivery drivers cannot find addresses, they can't ride sharing apps, which are completely lost now, and citizens are getting turned around on roads that they used to know by heart. Can you imagine that? Think about this. What happens if ambulances find the right location during an emergency? What if planes or ships near lose their GPS guidance? This isn't just inconvenient, it can be extremely dangerous. This kind of disruption is not new in global politics though. Countries like Russia has also used GPS jamming during military operations in Ukraine. It's a modern warfare tactic. Mess with the tech, mess with the enemy. But unlike traditional warfare, the damage spill over into the daily life, affecting regular people just trying to get to work or pick up their kids. So the question is, what's the bigger picture? Well, Iran is making a bold move, choosing to sacrifice some domestic comforts for what it sees as national security. But it also raises a major question that how far will governments go in using electronic warfare tactics, even if it means turning their own cities into digital blind spots. The world is watching right now, and that too very closely, because in today's age, wars aren't fought with bullets, they are fought with satellites, signals, and software. And in this new battlefield, even your smartphones aren't safe.
Oh my God. Siyempre, controlled yan ng ano.
اختر فئة كومفورت من تطبيق يانجو. رحلتك المثالية للمناسبات الخاصة بأبو ظبي.
Oh no. Kailan na naman to?
Of American commercial and military ships through.
All right, a new U.S. assessment has found American strikes destroyed one of 3 Iranian nuclear sites. The other 2 were damaged, but the assessment finds that nuclear enrichment could resume in the next several months if Iran wants it to. This is according to officials familiar with this report. They also tell NBC News if this evaluation continues to be true and Iran doesn't agree to restart negotiations with the Trump administration on a nuclear deal, both the American and Israeli governments could conduct additional strikes on the 2 less damaged facilities.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget you can catch the Today Show every on NBC or take Today when you're
Iranian kills. Iran's bloodiest blow.
So here's the problem. There are no good solutions when it comes to Iran. I mean, yes, the U.S. hit their enrichment facilities a couple weeks ago, but there's so much more to their nuclear program than that. And now we have to wonder if those strikes press Iran to actually develop a nuclear weapon. So to talk about all of that and more, we're joined today by Marie Harf. Marie is the executive director of the Perry World House at the University of Pennsylvania. She's a Democratic contributor on Fox and a former senior official in the Obama State Department and CIA, where she worked on the Iran nuclear deal, or JCPOA. And with that, let's get into the conversation. Marie, thank you so much for taking the time today. Really interested to get your thoughts on some of this stuff.
I'm happy to be here. We have a few things to talk about.
Yeah.
No shortage of news.
Well, there was one that just came out that I thought we could start. It was an NBC News article where they said that one of the 3 enrichment sites in Iran hit by the United States last night was mostly destroyed, but the other 2 were not as damaged and may have only been degraded to a point where nuclear enrichment could resume the next several months. So I think this kind of shines a spotlight on this question that we've had for what was the damage done.
Right.
This is
Be, may helicopter, be?
what else needs to be done in this whole conversation. So would you be able to start there? Like, what else has to be done around the Iranian nuclear program?
Right. So I found that NBC report fascinating. It confirmed what a lot of us suspected and have long said, that Iran's nuclear program is so diffuse, so deeply buried underground. It's just, there's so much of it that a military strike would only be temporary and would not be able to destroy it. So I think what has been clear from that report and a few other intelligence reports, including the Israelis who have said some things as well, it is clear that at the facilities, right? So there's a number of different enrichment facilities. There's other facilities where they do research, development, and keep a stockpile. That was not destroyed. It is clear that a lot of it was damaged and some of it badly damaged.
Badly damaged.
But it wasn't destroyed. And so, setting aside the facilities, the 2 other things I think you need to look at in terms of how quickly Iran could reconstitute or what the state of the program is today, in addition to the facilities, is number 1, where the already enriched stockpile is. We don't have a clear answer to that. It is probably the truth that they moved it or dispersed it or did something with it before American strikes, which were telegraphed. That could be a possibility. So the stockpile they already have. setting aside whether they can ever enrich anything else. And then the second piece, and I'm sure we'll talk about this, is the mindset of Iranian leaders. And, it was our assessment, it was the intelligence community's assessment that for decades, since 2003, I think, and an intelligence assessment that came out during the Bush administration, that the Iranian leadership had made a decision not to try and develop a nuclear weapon. They were doing a bunch of things that allowed them to, if they wanted to, but they had not made a decision to actually make one. And so today, if you're the Iranian leadership, you look at your nuclear facilities, they're definitely damaged, would take money and time to rebuild. A bunch of your scientists have gotten murdered, killed.
Oh my God.
Your stockpile is somewhere. Do you respond to this by taking the program underground, right? Taking whatever stockpile you have, trying to rush it together in some crude bomb and do a nuclear test in the next 6 months to show you're not going to be cowed by American and Israeli strikes? Or do you do the writing on the wall and say, I mean, our proxies in the region have been decimated. The Americans and Israelis finally struck our nuclear program. Are we really going to invest all this money to rebuild it?
Why do TED Talk speakers all wear these same glasses? I was wearing a pair of Even Reality's G1 glasses. It's a real...
And you go back to some sort of negotiating process. So those are the unknowns right now. But it's clear that their program...
Or are we likely to see...
and Libya and Syria, countries that did not become nuclear weapon states were attacked or gave up their weapons programs, and they were much weaker as a result. Now, not just as a result of that, but they never got back to where they had been. They look at North Korea, who did get a nuclear weapon. No one's bombing North Korea. So I think they took lessons from that maybe the United States and Israel will be less inclined to attack in the future if we have a nuclear deterrent. But the Iranian government has politics, right? We often think of it just as the supreme leader, and the supreme leader is certainly in charge. He's also very old. There's not a or divisions in their leadership right now. Some people saying, hey,
Where are you, mental?
Let's not beg trouble here. We made a decision not to get a weapon. Let's go back to the negotiations. Why do we want bombs raining down on North Tehran again?
There's something that I'd be interested in your thought, since you worked on JCPOA, that is no longer at this point. I think is part of the reason we're here. But if we can move past that to just the last couple months, where there is this talk that Iran was getting close, or at least moving in that direction, and it feels like the military strikes open that door to what we're talking about of Iran. Do they have to move faster or move away entirely? What other options were available? Because it feels like we're choosing between two bad options at that point.
Yes, I mean, I think you are right that even when we negotiated the JCPOA, and the 10th anniversary was just a few days ago on July 14th, the options at that time, and I think today are still, some sort of negotiated settlement where Iran gives up key parts of their nuclear program for sanctions. We monitor it. We do all the things so we can see if they're cheating. That's one.
Nuclear restaurants.
I think that's the most durable still and the most likely to succeed for a bunch of reasons with the least amount of risk, but that's my opinion. The second is sustained military action over many years. I mean, you served in the military. It is not as easy as dropping a few bombs and going home. So,
Okay.
let's say these bombs that we dropped set the Iranian program back 6
What
months
attack
to 2 years.
it?
Okay, so in 2 years we're bombing again? We're mowing the grass every 2 years, right? The third option, which nobody likes to talk about, is deterrence. And if Iran makes a decision to get a nuclear weapon, allow them to. I don't think anyone's considering that, right? But North Korea did it, Pakistan and India did it, Israel has nuclear weapons. I'm not arguing for that. But those are three not great options, right? That's why when we did the JCPOA,
I'm good.
and this is because of decades of American administration, Iran just kept moving their program forward through George Bush, through Bill Clinton, all these decades. And they got to a place where you only have the options you have. It is a fantasy to believe that there is some world in which Iran will give up any ability to enrich ever for civilian purposes. Let American inspectors call over every military facility they have in the country. Like, we were at the place we were at, and you have to negotiate from reality. And so I think a diplomatic solution still remains the best option unless American presidents, and it's Americans, no one else can reach these facilities. Only the American military can, as of now. If we want to keep doing this year after year after year and drive Iran underground, they just voted in Iran to suspend work with the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA.
You saw it?
They had been working with them, not perfectly, but the IAEA had some insight to the program, and now they're not going to have any. So there are real consequences
that's
to
my
getting
new
rid of
friends
diplomacy.
already.
It seems like, strangely,
New
we
job,
haven't heard
new
a lot
friends.
about talks. They were, front and center until Israel started striking, and then, of course, Iran said we're not going to talk right now. And since then, I kind of thought that we'd be pushing the Iranian people towards like, all right, now let's go, and we're not. So, if we do go back that direction,
What will happen to that?
goal at this point?
Same thing.
Who controlled the Google Maps,
I think
right?
partly that's because, and
Thank
I
you
obviously have
so
partisan
much,
and
Jack.
policy feelings here, but I think it is a fair statement that Donald Trump is not a leader who gets engrossed in nitty-gritty details of diplomatic negotiations and thinks deals can be made very quickly. And I think that's why the first round of talks that they were engaged in with Iran in Oman fell apart. Because the Trump administration was like, 60 days, come on, where are we? Why isn't this done? It's like, it took us 3 years of intense, this is not just a real estate deal, right? It's not even a trade deal. So anyways, all that to say, what is a good outcome? I mean, the best outcome is the best outcome is some scenario where Iran gets rid of its enriched uranium stockpile. Under the JCPOA, it got sent to Russia, who had a lot of experience with nuclear stockpiles, for better or worse. If they do something with it, there can be a consortium. There's a lot of different ways you can do that. That they disconnect their enrichment centrifuge cascade.
Yeah, or we have a
And
picnic
that there is some
there.
version of inspection. I do not know if that is possible. I don't know if the administration on the American side is willing to give any sanctions relief, which has to accompany a deal. I do not think Iran is so weak that they will just give up things without...
Thank you.
That's not how diplomacy generally works, but unless there's a complete surrender, like at the end of World War II, that's not where we are, right? So, in my mind, look, at this point, I would actually say, in my mind, the best thing I'm hoping for is just a return to talks. And not this slow escalation where Iran pulls back, they start enriching more, we say we're going to sanction more, there's this like slow
I'm with Iran channel.
I just don't think is
Iran.
going to solve the problem, and I think it gives
Iran
like,
channel,
a lot of leverage to time and leverage.
I'm so bored.
To actually try and see if they can rush to something close to a weapon.
The timeline here is something I wanted
Why
to
I
get your
close the
thoughts
Iran?
on, because it seems like if we go down that route again, what we will hear ahead of time is Iran is a week, a month, 6 months away from a nuclear weapon, and it'll
Why
be
I
underneath
close
this
the
video, I
Iran
guarantee in the
channel?
comments, where people will say Iran's been a month away from a nuclear weapon for 20 years.
Correct. Exactly.
What on earth? Can you
Can
explain
you
that a
hear
little
that?
bit? Like, why have the timelines are just so confusing to try to keep up with here?
Totally. I think there's two things at play here. The first is, I think people like Prime Minister Netanyahu
Have you seen that?
use scary
That news?
sounding timelines for decades for political purposes.
The Iran channel.
There's videos that came out after we struck Fordo that showed him saying they're 2 weeks or a month away for, like you said,
About
20
the
years.
nuclear weapon.
I think it is useful for him.
Nuclear
politically,
weapon.
and in pushing the United States to be tougher on Iran. The technical reason is if you have
Huh?
a certain amount of highly enriched uranium and a certain stuff in terms of technical nuclear
Are we
facilities in your
close?
country, if you make a decision to take that highly enriched uranium and try to weaponize it, which is a totally